Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan are at it again, brother. NWO is back.
RAF, Real American Freestyle.
Get the fuck out of here. You haven't seen Leon Slater's TNA Rebellion spot.
Slater is insane!
I want to puke.
That pisses me off.
That was nasty.
Welcome back to another Podcasting Raw Nerdy with That Nerd ADC and Uncle Black. And we're back again talking about some more wrestling. And the topic of this video is it the 90s again, apparently? Like, are we really...
brother?
So, if you've been living under a wrestling rock or just shielding your ears and trying to keep your sanity, you may not have heard about this news. But Eric Bischoff and Hulk Hogan are at it again, brother. The NWO is back with some random guy named Izzy or something like that with them. And they have announced on social media that they are back in the wrestling business and they are starting a promotion. Who signs with this has the right mind to sign with this promotion and work under Hulk Hogan? I don't know. Definitely not. Definitely, if you have your pride, you're not black and doing that. I'm just saying.
Well, I guess Brock has a place to go.
Party's over, Grandpa.
Right? Eric Bischoff, say what you want about Eric Bischoff. Eric Bischoff is a visionary. He knows what he's doing. He's very smart. But obviously not too smart to work with Hulk Hogan. Again, he practically killed that company. But yeah, so it's called like RFA, right?
RAF, Real American Freestyle.
Get the fuck out of here. So, yeah. Let's talk about this promotion.
Leave me alone, dude.
So you're gonna take, basically what they're doing is they're making the XFL of wrestling. They're taking...
No, Uncle Black, what they're doing is they're making the waterboarding of wrestling. That's what they're doing.
So they're taking Olympic wrestlers and NCAA champions and UFC fighters and trying to do something. I don't know if they're going to go... Like, when I hear freestyle, I'm literally thinking Olympic wrestling, freestyle Olympic wrestling, and I hope this is not what they do, where they actually have a real Olympic wrestling mat and build storylines around it.
We already have that. It's called the UFC. Shade thrown.
But no storylines.
No, definitely storylines in the UFC. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
Dana White has been taking pages out of pro wrestling's book for a while.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but just acknowledge that you're doing it. That's all I have to say. And don't try to, and UFC fans, don't try to act like you're above wrestling fans, because you're not. You're watching the same shit. But let's get back to this ludicrous over promotion. So have they said that that's the backdrop of what this promotion is? Have they gotten into details yet?
No, they haven't, but they are going for, like, one of the big things is they are going for the Olympic wrestlers and the collegiate wrestlers. That's all that I really know. One of the things, a fusion of real wrestling and entertainment. Are you able to pull up his Twitter page, Hulk Hogan? And
a couple of maybe N-bombs thrown in there for measure.
I don't know where he's going with this. No, if he really... Yeah, I mean, some of the backers, Left Lane Capitals, which are investors behind Gerard Piquet's Kings League, Shaun White's Snow League, League One Volleyball, Hogan Bischoff, and COO Israel Izzy Martinez. And he's an actual, trainer.
Yeah.
Rewriting what it means to be a professional wrestler. I mean...
This is ridiculous, man.
It's really ridiculous.
This is so bad.
I mean,
I feel like I'm losing brain cells just talking about this, to be honest. I have Hulk Hogan's Twitter pulled up, but this is where you get information off his Twitter?
No, I'm on Ringside News. Ringside News.
I'm not going to HulkHogan.com. I don't know what I'll see there.
No, what you talking about, brother?
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But no.
Jelly roll.
I am on his Twitter and I'm seeing the vignettes they did.
And one of the things that I did read, and this was on a different website, is that he's not looking to have a lot of writers behind the scenes, which with the talent that you're getting, you're going to need writers and miracles.
Yeah, because these are people who obviously are not going to can't talk, you know.
No, they're not going to have...
Yeah, this is ridiculous, man.
But they got a booking for their first event, which is going to be in Cleveland. Did you freeze? Or was that just your face?
Did he freeze?
It was,
that was just my face. Caption that. That's the thumbnail right there. No, this man. I don't know how many times. I know I said ridiculous several times in this video. I don't have other words. We'll see how this goes.
So,
but this asks Eric and Hogan. I just have one question for you. How did that tour in Australia work out for you? Did you learn your lesson at all? At all? I'm pretty sure you still owe people money from that bullshit of a tour. So, like...
their first event is scheduled August 3rd, 2025 in Cleveland, Ohio. What? This event will mark, and according to F4W Online, the event will mark the official launch of the league, featuring matches across weight classes.
Get out of here. No.
Notable athletes such, and I quote, notable athletes such as Olympic silver medalist Kennedy Blades and former UFC fighter Ben Askren. Potential appearances by Wyatt Hendrickson and Gable Stevenson. For that, bring out Ken Shamrock and Dan Severn while you're at it.
I like to think Ken Shamrock has a little bit of self-respect. Dan Severn, I don't know. But no, this is, we'll see. It sounds like they're trying to take Tough Enough and make it real sort of thing. They're trying to do this little coup. Yeah, they're trying to mix in wrestling with UFC, and yeah. We'll see how this goes. I can tell you one person is not tuning in, and that's me. If they get a TV deal.
I'm bad, and that's good.
This is a train wreck, and I want to watch it happen. Like I said, this is the Vince's original XFL. That's what we're getting out of this. And we remember how long that lasted.
I'm pretty sure all throughout the episode, you're going to see appearances from Jimmy Hart, Brutus the Barber Beefcake, Brian Knobs. It's going to be Hulk Hogan and friends, right?
The Yeti.
The Nasty Boys.
The Yeti.
And the Yeti! It's going to be Hulk Hogan and friends. That's what this is.
It's like the cartoon.
This is bad, man.
However, this is something that Vince may want to dip his toes into.
But don't say that.
This is why I keep bringing it up.
This is how the end of the world happens, man.
Vince and Shane need something to put their money into. Something new where they're not going to be shunned. And I think this would be perfect for Shane and Vince to invest in. That's the only way it'll survive. But he won't have Bruce Pritchard. Or will he?
You see Bruce jumping ship, especially if Vince gets involved.
But is it time for Bruce to leave the...
Bruce is a good mind. He is. But I will say, he's a very old school mind. And he seems like a person who doesn't really adapt to change. He still wants to book like it's the 90s or the 80s even. So, I think... for that reason, it's time for him to move on. But I don't think he's a good pick for any promotion because of that reason.
Correct. You know, when you think of Vince going anywhere, and I'm surprised that Bruce hasn't left yet, but again, how many times, Bruce Pritchard is like, you're fired. You're fired! You're back, you're fired. He's the Billy Martin of wrestling, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, unless he's developed his loyalties to Triple H. Because I wouldn't be surprised. He's got Paul's ear very strongly. I know, call me wrong, but we know AEW. Vince went nowhere with AEW.
Right.
Vince is not going anywhere near TNA. That's not going to ever happen.
I'm glad it's not.
Me too, but he needs somewhere to go. He's been trying. I mean, rumors were that he was going to try to work with Fox to get wrestling back on Fox. Now that you have something that's just coming out of the woodworks, why not jump on that and that heat between Vince and Bischoff can be reborn, and Hogan.
In my opinion, if it does happen, he has to be very much a silent majority partner. That the common viewer cannot know that Vince has his hand in it. It's kind of like the Vince Russo effect at this point, in my opinion.
The Vince effect.
Right. Vince McMahon's name is so tarnished, as it should be.
Yeah, it is.
that you put him frontward facing on anything, it's a detriment to your product.
Yeah.
And I feel that if anybody was going to do it, it would have to be Shane with Vince and Shane's ear sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like the frontward facing man would have to be Shane.
Shane. Yeah. It at this point, it has to be. I mean, and that's the thing. But I mean, I was disappointed with Shane not showing up anywhere on WrestleMania. Like, it was a perfect place for Shane to show up somewhere on WrestleMania, especially after the Hall of Fame. Figuring, you know, with Triple H's speech, you know, I was figuring we were going to get Shane somewhere out of that. And maybe not, because they know what comes attached to Shane. I don't know. I want to see, because I want to see how bad this is going to be.
It's going to be bad.
I know it is. And that's why I want to watch it, because it's going to be a train wreck happening. And I want to have my popcorn and watch it happen and just be like, this is garbage, but I can't stop watching because this is a hot mess. And then
I don't think it gets any more than one season. To me, this is giving me very much Wrestling Society X vibe. Remember that back on MTV? Which actually I enjoyed Wrestling Society X, but it was very short-lived for a lot of reasons. So
this is WWE's ECW. This is
ECW
worse. I mean, it's not going to even be. I mean, Hogan's so against things like ECW. He's more into he's 90. That's why I'm saying 80s style with a flair of whatever the hell, you know, these guys are going to be doing. But if anyone, and I don't know if Brock's still under contract, but if you're really talking about this type of style, Brock is literally the name that you want attached to this.
That was good.
Regardless of what happened with WWE and Vince, Brock is the name that you want attached to this, because that is going to get people to watch.
We also mentioned names, and he said it in jest, but I think there's some truth to it, some levity to it, like a Ken Shamrock as well, right?
Yeah.
Like names that have some sort of value, names that have some sort of people know who they are. And Ken Shamrock is one of them. He has done matches for TNA, actually. I want to say like 2-3 years ago. So he could still do things.
Want those, since you're putting freestyle wrestling, and you're going to get your Greco-Roman wrestlers also. But I mean, this is one of those things where you're going to want these people to show out, because these are the people that you want to grab your names. Like a Tank Abbott, who was in WCW. Right. But you get what I'm saying. These names: Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler.
Yeah. In a previous video, we were talking about that. We're talking about releases, and Shayna Baszler would be good for this promotion. It's fits right along with
Shelton Benjamin.
AEW though.
Stronger. I mean,
Bring back Zach Gallen. That's who we need.
I'm sorry.
But you see where I'm going with the names that I'm mentioning here. That they have some hint of they still have a tie to, I'm just going to put the stamp of Olympic wrestling on it, or UFC. I mean...
Well, that's why I brought up Ken, is because, you know, he has that crossover appeal.
Yeah.
He's did his thing in the WWE, and if you're a fan of the wrestling in the 90s, you probably know who Ken Shamrock is. If you're a fan of UFC, you definitely know who Ken Shamrock is. You know who his brother is too, you know, Frank.
Yeah.
So he's one of those names that really has huge, in my opinion, huge crossover appeal. It's because he's the grandfather of UFC, one of them, and also his time in the WWE as a pro wrestler. To me, it's a no-brainer to give Ken Shamrock a call.
I mean, like, seriously, you have some people that are sitting there doing nothing. Rest his soul, but you know who would have been great? And I can't. Here I go again. The guy that went into UFC, the bare knuckle fighter from Florida, passed away.
Yeah.
You know who? And I can't think of his name. Oh my!
Famous for Street Fighter. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God! Now I gotta look it up because I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
Well, you guys know who I'm talking about. I mean, with the fronts.
Kimbo Slice.
Thank you.
Kimbo.
That would have been, if he would have been alive right now, that would have been it for, I mean, he would have been alive now. That would have been a perfect match. Kimbo versus Brock.
Who was, I think he's still active in the UFC though, or Bellator somewhere, but the Randy Jackson? Or is that American Idol? But he was like one of the early winners of UFC.
I know what you're talking about.
His last name's Jackson. I'm not sure if his first name's Randy, but he had a feud with Rampage.
Montel, or Damon?
Randy Jackson is definitely American Idol.
Yeah. Damon Jackson?
Maybe was he part of the Ultimate Fighter?
Yeah, he was.
That's maybe who I'm thinking of.
Or the Quentin Jackson. Oh my God, how many Jacksons does UFC have? Quentin Jackson?
Quentin. It was Quentin.
Okay.
No, Quentin Jackson is Rampage.
No. Okay. Yeah. So then.
But I want to say the person I'm thinking of, he had a feud with Rampage.
Huh?
I can't think of his name. Beauty of editing people.
Rashid Evans. No.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. Yeah. I was confusing names. Rashid Evans.
Because I'm like Jackson. Okay.
I don't think he's in the UFC anymore.
No,
Rashid.
he's not. No, he's not. But yeah, that would have been that.
But no, like you need names like that who somewhat have, I agree with you, like some sort of name power, right?
Yeah.
And but I don't care who you get. You can get God. And I think this promotion still fails.
One show? We're thinking 1 or 2 shows.
I'm thinking 1. And then you already hear that there's not a season 2.
Not even an episode 2.
I think they try to truck along and they were like, oh, guess what? We're exclusively on YouTube now. But I don't even know if they're actually going to get a TV deal. It may actually just be like on a streaming service or YouTube or something.
Well, that would be their smartest thing to do, honestly. I wouldn't look to go on TV. I'd get the following. I mean, Hogan's going to drive that real American brand into, well, it's already driven into the ground.
I know you're a beer drinker, by the way. Have you tried that real American beer?
No.
No.
But you see, that's the thing. Like, Broken Skull isn't even that great either.
So you have tried that one?
Yeah. And I've tried the Broken Skull IPA.
Test water. I do like the Rocks liquor though. It's pretty.
It's a, what is it, like it's a tequila?
Yeah.
I haven't tried that.
It's good.
But real American beer is a light beer. So basically it's just Coors Light with steroids.
But that's a topic. That's a whole nother podcast. But let's go back to our roots actually. Yeah, this promotion, it's not long lasting at all. It may not even get far than a concept.
I hope not, though. And here's why. The more, the merrier. We've learned that we need to have other stuff to remind us why we keep going back to WWE and UFC. And they're really smart. And hear me out here. They're really smart because they're doing it before WWE does it with UFC.
Right.
They saw the writing on the wall where the possibility can happen like this, and it hasn't happened yet.
No, especially since they're owned by the same company now. Like I thought there'd be a lot more UFC crossovers.
And we're not getting it because they're keeping the walls really, really split. And it can be done. I mean, throw CM Punk in the cage. He's done it before. So it's one of those things. You got a few that fought in the cage. It's not going to be that. It might take them a while of training. They might, you can't just say you're going to jump in now, but we could plan for you can set the gears in motion now and then have them show up in an octagon in October. Yeah. Granted, they got to get that training, but you're going to want to take those that already have a Aleister Black.
Right.
And it's one of those things of where they can make it happen. They haven't had it. They haven't done it yet. And Hogan probably saw that writing on the wall and said, people might want this. And that's where he may be going with it. Some people may want to see this. We know how WWE is done. Someone can do it first, and we might actually do it better, with the exception of Extreme. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's just the wrong people behind it. The concept makes sense, but the people behind it have me like, yeah, it's not going to work.
Yeah, the concept is like if you were just pitching me this concept and then tell me it was Hogan and Bischoff, like I would be like, oh, okay, yeah, I can see this. This makes sense. I can see how this could work in 2025. But like once you mention Hogan and Bischoff,
I'm turned off.
I'm done. Take me off.
Yeah. If you just would have said Bischoff and his production company, I probably would have been interested still. But so when you add the Hogan of it all, like like to me, Hogan doesn't realize how much his name is actually tarnished. To be a spokesperson for this company, frontward facing, like it sounds like he probably will be, I think is a big mistake.
Yeah.
Like there are people outside the wrestling bubble. But you're going to want wrestling fans. I mean, at the end of the day, this is a wrestling promotion.
But do you want the wrestling? But that's the thing. Do you want the wrestling fans, or are you trying to gear it to those that are Olympic wrestling fans that don't get it full season? They don't get it all the time. Where can you watch these big names? Nowhere.
Yeah, and I guess it depends on who they're trying to attract. Because if they're trying to attract wrestling fans, I believe Hogan being frontward facing is a mistake.
It is.
Because most wrestling fans are aware of all the crap that is on him, right? Now, the common person who watches TV might not know. But I was going to say that until he started getting into politics. Because he was heavily behind the Trump campaign. So you're alienating people there, right? And to me, you're not the people that you're not alienating is not the type of group I want to be a part of. But no, so I think that's an issue there too. Is he's so controversial?
But
toxic.
And maybe he's toxic. But you mentioned one word there, controversial. You see, I don't want to watch him. I don't even want him on a mic. I keep him in the background. I'll deal with Bischoff. I wouldn't mind listening to Bischoff on the mic. I just don't want Hogan on the mic. But you cut a vignette like it's 1992 and black and white, and it's kind of like, how many times have you done this? It's you're riding on the coattails of WCW and NWO and that style. And what are all your matches going to be like black and white, like sold out?
Is this like another EC3 sort of thing? Where it's like control your narrative, right?
Yeah.
But no, like, I will leave it with this. I see where they're going with it. I just don't think it's going to work.
You know what, though? It's he up. And when I say he, I'm talking about Taz.
He is a commentator in AEW.
But he's got his dojo.
Yeah. I think one of the main reasons he's in AEW is because his son's there. And his son is, building his teeth there. You hook. Yeah. I think that's the key. I think that's the key thing that keeps him there. But no, Hook could be very good for this promotion too, because he has a background.
I want to see. I lost my background.
Don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain. But no, I think I
think Hook would actually be great competition for what's his name? Froze again, or is that me?
That's you. That's me. It's just I kind of spaced there for a second. I was like, Bronson Reed. Who are we talking about?
No.
But no.
I can't think tonight. My Lord, what's his name? He's now with Paul Heyman.
Braun Breaker. Rick Steiner's son. Yeah. But no, I will say that. Well, see. But there's something I wanted to show you. Switching gears here for a second. Oh, we're talking about camera. Have you not? You haven't seen Leon Slater's TNA Rebellion spot that has?
No. Yeah. Show me.
Has people up in arms. Let me bring that up. It was gross. And being someone who knows a little bit behind the curtain, this saddened me to see this. So I will bring that up.
All right, 3D printer filament.
All right, so watch this.
Play it again.
One more time for good measure. No one is catching him. They're actually spreading like the sea.
Slater is insane! Holy God!
I want to puke.
That pisses me off.
That was nasty. That was it. He bounced like a pickle.
Why people are all up in arms is because as you saw, no one is where they needed to be. No one was trying to be. It does seem like no one was trying to be where they needed to be.
Yeah, it's like they're all scattered.
And let that young man that's like 16 feet in the air. If you notice when he was up there, you could practically touch it.
Yeah.
Like the ceiling. He's fine, by the way. But that could be paralyzed situation. That could be death. That could be Owen Hart.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. Luckily, he's young, and I'll give him this. He knew how to land. But he bounced. But he knew how to land. But I would not take a bump like that ever again. I'm sorry.
Who do you trust after that?
No one. No one in the locker room. I don't trust the boys. I'm sorry. And someone's got to answer for that. And unfortunately, you got to make people they got to be held accountable. And this is one of those where you go shoot. because you gotta apologize to those people in the front row. You gotta apologize to the fans. You gotta apologize to his fans. You have to apologize to him and his family because no one was there. Everybody's scattered, and I get it. It's the scattered look, but no one caught him.
No.
And they're like, oh, we're just gonna scatter it.
And there are people down there that knew better. I don't know if you noticed some people there. Matt Cardona was down there, and
Yeah.
Matt Cardona literally did this.
Yeah.
And Moose was down there, and then there's people who kind of expect the kind of shit from like Top Dollar, you know, AJ Francis. But like, there's no excuse for that.
No. This is a business.
This is business.
This is an industry. You work together because guess what? You want to be caught the next time you're up there? You better hope so.
And for you guys that don't know, you probably have an idea, but if you don't know, it's not soft underneath those mats.
Oh.
It's cement underneath that.
Yeah.
That kid literally bounced off cement.
Cement. Yeah. That's not like Shane coming off of Hell in a Cell where he hit the table and there was an airbag.
Cushion.
And there was a cushion and an airbag. No, that was just raw cement. Because those pads are thin. What they use, I mean, they use similar to Olympic style mats.
Yeah.
And those mats are dense. They're not meant to hold. No, if you ever done any Olympic, high school, college wrestling, those mats hurt. It doesn't matter what they're on. You get slammed, you get thrown, it hurts.
And like you said, thank God he had the presence to have. It seemed like he let his chest take the blow, like his chest and stomach area. But if he would have hit his head,
that would have been death right there. That's so disgusting. That's just gross. That.
And I don't know how you come back from that. If you're Leon Slater, like I said, he's okay. But if you're Leon Slater and you're asked to be in a match with any of those guys again, where's that trust? How do you trust that? How do you trust that they have you? And Moose, by the way, apparently he's gone on Twitter and he's tried to like say, well, you weren't there and everybody's a critic after the fact. I'm sorry, Moose, but go f yourself.
Yeah.
Own up that you messed up.
You weren't in the right place at the right. And I'm not trusting not one of those people. I'm not working with them. No. Or I'm gonna be very stiff with them when I get back in the ring. I'm not gonna want to get in the ring. I'm not gonna trust them to.
That could easily have been Owen Hart. That could easily have been an Owen Hart situation.
Very easy.
That's too easy.
Very, very. Because, I mean, anytime you take a chance on something like that, you don't know how you're gonna land. Unfortunately, I'm not saying you don't know how you're gonna be oriented. One bad mistake, one bad win, even though you're in the arena, bad anything. And they have to practice that. They run through that. Oh, where's the disconnect?
Yeah, and this is us assuming, of course, that the spot was for him to be caught. Like, I don't know why it wouldn't have been. Because I don't know why Leon Slater would agree not to be caught. Right? But, like, and I get, like you said, the effect of making it look like you're trying to get out of the way. But there's ways to do that and still protect Leon, right?
Yeah.
There was, like, no sense of care of Leon's safety, I don't think. And that's the part that gets me, is if he would have been paralyzed, Draws is a good example of that, like when D'Lo Brown accidentally paralyzed Draws. And that was a mistake. That wasn't D'Lo Brown doing that intentionally. But Draws is paralyzed the rest of his life due to a wrestler. Or you think about Ridge Holland, you know, what he did to Big E, right?
Yeah.
But like these things, injuries, things happen in wrestling. But to me, this was more of negligence.
It reminds me, this was wrestler error, but it reminds me when Brock went for that shooting star press and landed on it. I don't like seeing crap like that when I'm watching wrestling because it's just shouldn't happen. Again, Brock should have never done the shooting star press. Really, he didn't rotate enough. A man that big shouldn't be doing it.
No, it's hard to get all that mass to do a shooting star press.
Why do you think Bronson Reed doesn't go that far?
Right.
Which is kind of, people think it's funny, his tsunami, that he doesn't go that far, but he's actually just keeping himself, he can't, and he's keeping himself safe.
Yeah.
He's not like, like a Jacob Fatu that's just a beast and can hit that move, but even
Jacob has his limits. Yeah.
All it takes is for one accident for Jacob to split. It's a slip. We saw it happen with LA Knight trying to do it, and he made a mistake. Those are wrestlers' error. That's the performer talent's error on himself. This is the error of 4, 5, 6 other people that they were just not there to do their part of the job.
It's hard to watch. That footage is hard to watch. If you're Leon Slater, do you jump off at anything ever again?
No. Well, yes, just not that high. Just not that high. I would if I trust the people that I'm jumping to. That's what it has to be. I have to now handpick who I'm doing this with, and that's how I'm calling my spot from now on. It takes a lot of trust to do some of these maneuvers that they do, and that's just not one that I would ever trust anyone to do.
No. I want to end this, Leon, if you're watching. TNA, if you're watching. But most importantly, Leon. So glad to see that you're okay, that you're walking and talking. He finished the match, by the way. I don't know if it was adrenaline that let you do that or what it was, but glad to hear you're okay. The people who didn't catch you, shame on them. If you find in your heart to forgive them and it's part of the business, that's on you. But yeah, man.
I don't trust these people ever again. And I actually wouldn't work with these people ever again. I wouldn't work with that talent. I'm curious to see what the rest of the industry has to say about that. I would like to see Maven discuss this on his show. Someone that has huge following. I'm gonna call him out. Maven, if you're watching. As a matter of fact, when you publish this, I'm gonna tag him. I'm gonna drop the link to his channel and be like, watch this. And I'm sure he's watched it. But I would love to get his take on it because he's talent. He's part of the talent, but he's actually right now, probably he's like that. You ever watch those magic, behind the magic type deal? That's what Maven has turned into. Behind the curtain type YouTuber, which is why I like watching him, because he's behind the curtain and he's not afraid to tell you what it is. Good show. If you haven't watched it, it's actually pretty entertaining. But no, I would love to see like the Stevie Richards and what he has to say about this. Tony Schiavone and his buddy.
But yeah, Maven for sure. Like Maven, if you watch YouTube and you watch random people and you haven't upon this video, we'd love to hear you, man.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, all of them.
Leon, glad to see that you got up and walked and you finished the match. And kudos, man.
That is just, man. I'm gonna need something to get me to sleep after that one, because I'm from Connecticut. In Connecticut, a pickle's not a pickle unless it bounces. So Leon Slater is a pickle in Connecticut because he bounced.
Yeah. But did you guys watch TNA Rebellion? If you did, what do you think of the what happened with Leon? What's your viewpoints on it? Is it just another day at the office? Do you see where we're coming from and how this was kind of negligent?
Yet they
where do you stand on this?
But yet they banned blading.
Right. Like, what do you guys stand on this?
And yet you ban blading, but you don't release any statement about that. And that's that goes to show the difference between different organizations of professional wrestling, and where TNA is kind of falling short, because immediately they should have released something. Like when Stone Cold in WrestleMania lost control and hit the barrier, they released a statement and of what happened, and Stone Cold explained. Well, he said it was just a different throttle system than whatever. I just think dude, you're on an ATV and you're drinking and driving. Like, which made me really, after all these years, finally seeing him, like, he promoted drinking and driving.
He did. He has. The ATV, the 4-wheeler, it's the monster truck, it's like all those things.
And it's really like, that's one of those things that probably why they don't do it anymore, but they released a statement about it. And I think TNA needs to really release a statement and come out to the fans and apologize, and their remedy for it. But that's all I got.
If you're interested in interviews all across the board, we got a lot for you. Be able to check on the channel on the lighter note. We got Gavin Hammond, the voice of Kenny from the Walking Dead Telltale series. We got David Nakayama, one of the biggest comic book artists out there. I think he's currently doing the run on Spider-Gwen. I think it's currently what he's doing for. We got Carlos Ezagari, the Taco Bell Chihuahua.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
As well as the principal of Very Odd Parents, amongst many other voices. He did as well. for Aqua's Modern Life. We got all those people on our channel. We had a great discussions with them all. Gavin Hammond will actually be on this channel early next month in June. So be sure able to check that out. But we're going to start wrapping things up. You got one more thing?
Octagon Jr. signed with TNA.
Well, that's big. That's big. That's huge.
Leaving AAA.
That's huge. That's huge.
Writing on the wall.
Breaking news. Breaking news. So we're going to have to talk about that next episode. But before I let you go, I have to say, like I say every episode, I've said it since the very first time I appeared on camera. That is keep it nerdy, my friends. And also, because Uncle Black's here.
From all of us to all of you, bring up people.
Love you guys.